Hello, Mary Meat. So, I want to review another horror movie. I don't think my last video became very popular. I think like 9 people have watched it or something. But I don't really make these videos because I have to have a lot of people watching them. I make them because I like to talk about the things I like, and my PC doesn't complain that I babble. So, yeah. And I like horror movies. So the movie I want to review is Damned by Dawn. The Dead Will Rise. As you can see, I got this cheap. I mean, I did not pay $14 for it. I think I paid like 2 or something like that. Bought it on eBay. But yeah, do I like it? Well, first let me discuss what it's about. It's about this young woman who are going with her husband or boyfriend. It's not mentioned if they're married or not. To see her parents that live far into I think it's the Scottish countryside. I think this is an English movie, but I'm not completely sure. And then getting there, she visits her sick grandmother, and the grandmother tells her that she will die soon, and that a powerful spirit will come for her, and if and that she should not interfere. Yes. So that's the setup of it. Of course, this spirit, and it becomes very clear. I'm not spoiling anything here. It's a banshee. The the movie's villain is a banshee, and right off the bat, I think that's pretty interesting because there's so many movies about vampires and werewolves and ghosts and zombies and all of those typical creatures. There's not that many banshee movies, and while I love movies about those other creatures, I really like something different from time to time, and banshees are interesting characters. However, the banshee doesn't get the best treatment here. It's She more becomes the stereotypical supernatural bad guy than really what she is in myth and legend, but fair enough. On the plus side, the movie has good atmosphere. It is not a very scary movie. It has a little bit of gore, but not a lot. It bases itself more on atmosphere than jump scares, which I like. I also like that it has good pacing. It doesn't overstay its welcome to the point where it becomes boring, but it spends enough time on the characters. It's a relatively small cast. It's the main character, her husband, her sister, her father, her sister's boyfriend, and the grandmother, and of course then the baddies. But yes, they spend enough time on the characters that you actually care when they get killed off, and yeah, it has good pacing and it has a decent story, though it's relatively cliche. So, from this point on, there might be a little bit of spoiler. I'll do as little as I can. But if you want to have this movie without any spoilers, let me just say it's a decent movie, but not a masterpiece. So, if that's all you want to hear, then you can stop the video now. Okay, moving on. Basically, this movie is you did something wrong supernaturally and now they're out to get you kind of movie. It's the typical you opened the box but that you shouldn't, you read the book that you shouldn't. Here it's that in the middle of the night they hear this screeching sound, and that's one of the things I don't like about the movie, because did they have to make the banshees cry with a tea kettle? I mean, that's a tea kettle. I'm 90% sure that's what I used to make the sound effect. It's a tea kettle. It's not scary, it's a tea kettle. But anyway, The tea kettle is screaming in the woods, and everybody in the household, of course, freaks out. And the main character just runs into her grandmother's room and hides out there. And then she sees the Banshee come in and wail for her grandmother, and of course she believes that the Banshee is out to kill her grandmother, while she in effect is just a death warning. So she attacks the Banshee and hurts her, and then the Banshee calls up the undead to punish the family. And we can just imagine what happens next. Of course, the family members get picked up one by the ghosties. That's what happens. It's a basic survival horror. So, what I don't like is the treatment the Banshee gets, because the movie would have been so much better if they had treated it as this force of nature, and that by disturbing it, they disturbed some sort of natural process, and things are just happening since then. But since they're more presenting her as this evil character that just goes after the family, she just becomes one more spiritual villain for a horror movie. Instead of just being this character, no, even if I didn't done it like that, it wouldn't match the legends of Banshees completely, but it would have been better. As it is, she might as well just have been a ghost or anything else, but I mean, the atmosphere is good. Um, so yeah, another thing that's not so good with the movie is that eventually they decide that they're gonna drive away. And so the Banshee calls up this army of floating skeletal ghosts. Yeah, this probably sounded good on the paper to someone, however, when you see down the highway, there's a lot of badly done CG skeletons floating everywhere. It's just a swarm of them. While it is a little bit cool, the last bit of scariness vanished from the movie at that point, because then we are moving into Disney territory. I mean, in and of itself, it's a cool idea that driving through this just mass of skeletons and getting them all over their windshields and such. However, it's not scary. It just gets sort of comical. So a few times they're going a little bit over the top like that, when if they're playing it down a bit, it would have fit with the creepy atmosphere more. But all in all, the movie does pretty well. Now, is this a remarkable horror movie? No, it isn't. I mean, it's not something that I would say you have to see this. It's the most amazing thing ever. It's one of those movies that tide you through between the really great ones. I mean, it's good. I enjoyed it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's pretty average, really. I mean, it's not something that you say, oh, that's horribly bad. It's not something that you're going to remember a year after you watched it. It's just one more horror movie. If you can find it like I did, cheap on the internet or in a bargain bin, yeah, it's worth a watch. But is it worth going out of your way to get? No. I think it's fun because it deals with a monster that's not very often presented, and of course within original Welsh and Celtic folklore, the Banshee isn't a monster. But yeah, uh, this is more the typical legend type Banshee. But uh, anyway, it's nice to see something new. Um, it has good atmosphere, decent acting, and uh, it has very good pacing. And the CG effects is a little bit bad, and At times it goes over into comical territory. While still sort of cool, it's comical, so it sort of disbands any scariness. It's not a scary movie, but it's a fun little tale. I think I'll give this. I've been debating with myself whether or not I want to give it 5 or 6 out of 10. Because I don't. So I'll give it 5.5 out of 10. It's a little bit better than average, but not a lot better than average. So yeah, if you can find it cheap or you have it on Netflix or anything like that, it's worth a watch. But it's not worth paying full price for a DVD to get it. But it's a fun little horror movie. And I do like the Banshee. She's a interesting villain. I just wish they hadn't made her a villain, but rather made her this force of nature that they sort of messed with some old force of nature I don't understand, instead of making her an evil villain, because then it sort of just becomes one more movie monster. But yeah, all in all, decent movie. That is my review of Dan by Bob. I hope you have enjoyed this review. If there's any horror movies, fantasy movies, or science fiction movies you want me to review, please comment down below. And I'll see if I can get them as soon as possible. Have a great day. Blessed be.